25 years. That's how long these two guys have been together on television, from HTS to Comcast Sportsnet to NBC Sports Washington. The name on the front door keeps changing. These guys still hang around. Joe Beninati and Craig Laughlin. Joe, I'm going to start with you, and I know this is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of bantering back and forth, but a bit of a serious thing to start with. Listen, the on-air chemistry that you guys have is something that you can't fake. Your opinion on what makes you guys after 25 years of doing this together.
Oh, I've said this before, and honestly, he and his family have treated me like family from the very beginning. So there's that friendship that's there, at least the perceived friendship that I think all the while he could be backstabbing me completely left and right, and I wouldn't know it. I've always said that if viewers had the chance to see during the commercial time or during the hour and a half or so leading up to actual air time, they realize that none of this was fake, that it's a good-natured, lots of ribbing. The guy loves to laugh. So who am I? I'm not going to be a wet blanket to that. I've enjoyed 25 years of laughs plus with this gentleman, and they're all sincere. It's honest, good fun, and we have the best jobs in the world. We're invited to watch incredible athletes perform on the rink and describe it. It's a game we both love. It's a game we both see, I think, with a similar eye, and the chemistry has always worked.
10 years of riding the bus with both of you guys. I can tell everyone that the laughs are absolutely real and nothing ever changes wherever we happen to be in this country or anywhere on the continent. Locker, you had a few seasons in the booth before Joe, with Jeff Rimmer, with Kenny Albert, and now all these years together. What makes Joe Beninati the play-by-play guy that he is?
I think it comes down to preparation. There's no one that prepares better than Joe B. And, I always have a saying with my kids on the ice, preparation precedes success. Well, Joe B's a perfect example of that. And he laughs every time I bring that up. But I just think Joe B is genuine. He understands the game so well. He can tell players, and it's funny for the people listening out there, like, I don't know which way guys shoot. And that's weird, isn't it, Johnny? Like, I don't know sometimes if a guy's a righty or lefty. I know Ovi and guys like that, but a lot of guys around the league, I don't know that. Joe B can tell a guy by the way he shoots. I cannot, which is a weird sort of thing that we have in the booth. And we always laugh at that. He'll ask me, what way does this player shoot? And I said, I don't know. Let me guess. It's 50-50. And of course, most of the time I will get it wrong. But it's a fact that, I think over the years, and it started day one when, I had, as you mentioned, those guys. I also had Al Koch in there for a stretch. So you always want to come in and have a camaraderie with your play-by-play guy, and the color guy has to do that, vice versa. And I think that the camaraderie started from day one, and we built it along the way, whether it being going to lunch all the time together on the road, hanging out together, hanging out with you, doing things like that as a group. I find like we're a team. And I always tell Joe, as a team, there are stars like myself, and then they are grinders and fourth liners. And that's where, I want, you got to have the right seat on the bus. So
I'm a plugger, I guess.
Yeah, Joby's a plugger, and I'm the gunslinger, and I'm the OV, and the fans want to hear me. So we just have a lot of fun every day. And I want to tell the fans, Joe made the point that in the booth, during breaks, during whatever, sometimes, honest to God, fans, I will be passed out, laying on the table, laughing so hard that sometimes I can't breathe because we laugh, we howl. He'll say something, I'll say something, and it's back and forth, whether it be about me, about him, about the game, whatever, or the player or one of the players on the team. So I just think that we want to have that fun. And it's continued. What's great about it, it's continued from day one. And I think that's what makes him so special. He's not only a dear friend, he's the best in the business. And when you have that combination, it's going to work well.
Johnny, it's 6 months of everyday communication in a normal season. And as soon as the season ends, I won't hear from him for at least.
Well, you need separation, JoJo, to have the proper relationship.
Awesome. Just terrific.
Absence makes the heart grow fonder or something like that. Yeah. There's a couple of stories that I want to get to that I'm going to get to in a little bit, but we've got a lot of fan questions here as well, and I want to make sure that we get to those. And this one is kind of related. Ray Mitten asked, Actually, he says first, you guys are legends. How has your relationship changed over the years, and how long have you been friends? I get the sense from you guys, I mean, it's been 10 years that I've been around you guys. I get the sense pretty much from day one, you guys picked up and ran with it.
Go ahead, JoJo.
I don't necessarily think that play-by-play and analysts need to be best of buds. They need to be working cohesively on the air together. But when we get this kind of combination, I've learned as quickly as possible, regardless of how many different color analysts I've worked with, where it is that Craig likes to interject his comments, when he'll be more apt to be quiet and lay out. I learned those things. I think that's our responsibility, Johnny, as play-by-play guys, is to recognize what it is and when it is that Ken Sabrin on the radio network likes to chime in, comments that he likes to make, where he will more likely lay out. And you've learned that with Kenny over time. I learned that as quickly as I can with every broadcast partner that I have. With Craig, it's always, I know he's bursting at the seams, ready to laugh at something. He wants to be an entertainer. In a perfect world, we'd be on the marquee as a comedy act, not as a broadcast tandem, but as a comedy team.
And Joe, please tell the fans one of our press conferences that you were ready to retire after one coach said the following. Go ahead. Tell him what he said out in Dallas or wherever he was.
Wait, we talking about Bob Hartley?
No, we're talking about Ken Hitchcock.
Oh my gosh. Ken Hitchcock was running the Blues at the time, John. So you know this, in the morning, there's a sort of a mass media huddle, and then the rights holders sort of get extra access and the individual team radio guys get involved. And so the mass media press conference sort of starts to dissipate. Locker and I know Ken very well for a long time in various cities. So we go right up to Ken Hitchcock. He comes running up to us. You guys are so funny together. And I'm like, what are you referring to, Hitch? He goes, no, I watched the game 2 nights ago. You guys are great. You're so funny together. Did you enjoy the broadcast at all? Or was it just the laughs? You know, and Locker's eating this up because here it is. This is confirmation that the comedy is winning the battle. To hell with the play-by-play in color. As long as we're making Hitch laugh, this is a good thing. And meanwhile, all the while I'm sitting there going, I didn't get into this to be, Abbott and
comedian. We're a comedian act.
Never forget it. He did. He came right. You guys are so funny together. I'm like, yeah, okay. That's our mission number 1. Vindication.
On that, there are a couple of stories I want to get to, but there were so many people that wanted to ask you so many different things. I want to make sure that we get to these.
Okay.
Locker, let's go with you for this one.
Okay.
Patrick Peartree and Eileen Warner both wanted to know, who's your favorite Caps all-time player? I mean, when you guys have been around for 25 years, you played with a number of them too. So let's just call it in the class of, since you've been a broadcaster, who's been your favorite guy to watch? And Alex Ovechkin obviously has got to be on that list, but are there more? Is there somebody that stands out to you?
I think there's a lot that have come through the ranks, and, there is a difference between who I played with, obviously, and now who I'm broadcasting with. I think all the great players that have come to town have really entertained not only me, but Joe and you doing play-by-play in color. I think, even though the short stint he had here, I always enjoyed watching Jaromir Jagr. And I know it was a short time here. He didn't deliver what he was supposed to deliver, so-called, but he was enjoyable to watch on a nightly basis. Peter Bondra. I mean, how couldn't you like a Peter Bondra who got you out of your seat, much like Ovechkin does? And back in the day as a player, and I sat on the bench and I watched this guy time after time, it was Gartner, it was Langway, and it was Scott Stevens, who I absolutely sat on my bench in awe, watching them as one player to another. And they always were spectacular watching them from the bench when I wasn't on the ice. And that was a great part of my career, to be able to watch some of these superstars. But I think guys like that, and I like the maturity that some of these guys have come through with. The Mike Greens, for example, talk about a retro defenseman when the league was playing all about defense and he's racking up 75 points. To me, that was something that I craved. And Joe and I, and you, we all go into a game hoping the Caps are going to win, but we're also going into the game hoping that someone's going to do something special. I remember Peter told me one time when I talked to him, he said, yeah, I'm just an ordinary guy doing extraordinary things. And I'm like, that's great, Peter, because your extraordinary things make the viewers love our game, make the viewers love the Caps, make me love the Caps even more, and you even more, because those are special players. And Ovi is at the top of the list because he does something special each and every night. There is something that we can put our hat on at the end of the night and said, oh my God, there's an oh my God moment, even if Ovi doesn't score, but he's going to do something that it's an oh my God moment. And he's another guy that I absolutely, if I had to pay to go see a hockey game, I would go see Alexander Ovechkin.
Thinking of the game against the Kings that was kind of a nothing night last February, just about a year ago, where the game was nothing through 2 periods and Ovechkin a hat trick in the third, you leave the game shaking your head. That's a moment right there where even if it doesn't look like it's going to happen, sometimes it does. Joe, in maybe the non-Ovechkin category, and I know that might not even be fair to you, but 25 years of being next to Craig and watching games together, who stands out to you for the home team?
Jojo, remember, before you start, you did do an alumni game that I scored the game winner on, so I don't know if you want to mention that.
I'm sure he doesn't.
I refer to it as the immaculate mishandle. he blew the stick handling play and he actually kicked it in, but they counted it. And I call it the immaculate mishandle for Locker. That was at MedStar Caps Iceplex. He's treated me to so many great plays. That guy. Obviously, the guys that Locker has mentioned, I agree with. In our business, we're taught to never really play favorites. But there have obviously in 25 plus years in town here been so many guys who have treated us, our broadcast, the organization, the fans so incredibly well. And it's not just their play on the ice, but the gentlemen that they've been off of it. So to the ones that Locker has already mentioned, which I agree with 100%, I often come to think of Ole Kolzig. I often come to think of a guy like Ken Klee. I come to think of a guy like Sergei Gonchar. I could name many, many more. But those guys often jump to mind for just how good a person they've been. You know, Nicholas Backstrom is the kind of person in our jobs, John, we get a chance to see these guys grow up. And you've mentioned the longevity that we've had. Locker and I have seen so many of these great players go from teenagers to family men. And with regard to Ovechkin and Backstrom, we get to meet them at 18 and 19. Now they're in their mid-30s, early 30s. They have children of their own. To see the way Nicholas has grown up off the ice, aside from how much of a genius he is on the ice, but just to see how much he's grown up off of it, it's almost a big brotherly, fatherly kind of admiration that I have for so many of these guys.
All right, so I got to go here because I want to hear both of you tell it. I have had the privilege of riding around with you guys and hearing so many stories from over the years, and truly one of my favorites, and I've heard it numerous times, and I never get tired of it. Locker, if you could start just for the folks who are watching about that intermission in New Jersey at the Meadowlands where Joe got clobbered with a light fixture.
Okay, John, let me set up the scene. It's at the end of a period. It's either I think it was the end of the first period.
I'm sorry, folks, you can read more about it in the 25th anniversary book, which is coming out next year.
Yes, we're going to write a book. Remember, Joe, we're on that. We're starting
25th
it.
anniversary next year.
Yes. Okay, we're writing a book.
I interrupted.
And this will be in the book. I want to set the scene because Joe, as we all know, is such a great storyteller, better than anybody in the business. And I want to just set the scene. At the end of the period, I get up in New Jersey. We're sitting halfway up in the top of the first concourse, and the fans are all around us. They're coming down the steps. I have to step out of my chair into the area that they're walking behind me to go down for refreshments down the steps. So I have to sort of lean against a bar, and I'm sort of overlooking the rink. And I said, and Bill Bell's in my ear, Locker, you're going to be doing an interview, and it's coming up in about 2 minutes. Joe B is still sitting in his chair doing his notes and getting ready for the rest of our intermission. So mine is a quick 2 or 3 question interview. I'm standing up, mic in hand, with my earpiece in, saying, yeah, Billy, I got you. Now, Joe finishes. Go ahead, Joe.
First off, Bill Bell in his ear. That's our producer director for a long, long, long time, and a wonderful friend, and the guy who makes everything go behind the scenes of our broadcast. Bill at that time was both producing and directing. This is the old Continental Airlines Arena. This is Brendan Byrne Arena. This is not the new Prudential Center. So the broadcast position, as Locker describes, is lower in the arena. There are heavy duty main play-by-play cameras to my right. There are heavy lamps, which are going to put the floodlights on Locker, who's standing out on that little platform. There are a lot of wires, a spaghetti strand of heavy-duty wires behind our seats. That camera swings in front of me to shoot Locker, and I'm not sure how exactly what happened, but here it is. Bill Bell is also in my ear, too, counting us back from commercial break. Joe, you're going to reset the score. You're going to tell everybody that it's at the intermission, and you're going to lead to Locker, who's going to interview player X. Jay Pandolfo, let's say. Joe, you're back in 7, 6, right about 5 in the count. Somebody walks behind me, gets their foot tied up in the spaghetti, which pulls this old school heavy duty lamp. You're back in 3, 2, bam! I get hit on the side of the head by this heavy monster of a lamp. And I mean, I'm dazed and confused. And now, 2, 1, Bill doesn't know this because I'm not on camera, but wham! I have a little button, a little box in front of me that allows me to speak to Billy, independent of what the viewers hear at home. I'm like, Bill, I need a few seconds. He goes, what the hell do you mean? I said, I just got hit by a light. I look to my left as I'm feeling my head, waiting for the blood to start rushing down. I look to my left. There's Locker, doubled over, keeled over in laughter with what he seen. So obviously we can't put him on camera yet. Billy now recognizes seeing Locker. He goes, okay, Joe, stretch for a little bit, fill for a little bit, stretch for a little bit. I can't even think. I don't even know what my name is. I have a concussion going, but I have to stretch because Dum Dum is laughing so hard. Never forget it.
And let me finish the story the proper way, Joe, because you always forget some of the details.
The proper way?
Yeah, no, the details.
Oh, I know.
Set it up perfectly, and the details were this old-fashioned light that had like 4 covers on it, and it's steel, solid steel. Oh, and I am leaning over the steel bar, and I can't breathe. I'm laughing too hard. So I get ready. I do the interview, and as soon as the interview's over, I said, Joe, I wish there was a bigger cut, and I wish your hair would have caught on fire.
He wanted my hair to be on fire. That was the only thing he wanted. That's the only thing that was lacking. Sure, drew blood. But your hair wasn't on.
Johnny, that is a classic that will go down into our book.
I can't wait to read about it. I actually know what that look on your face is because when I fell down that ravine in Florida that time,
there you go.
I looked up and you couldn't breathe.
Well, wait a second. I'm the one that reached for you, Johnny. Don't you remember? I threw my arm out.
Yeah, right down there at Sawgrass. There I went, right down the hill. Yeah, lots of help.
John, I will never forget Bill Bell in my ear. Joe, you need to stretch a little bit. Stretch. I can barely think.
Johnny knows what I was doing.
I have a very good idea. We have so many questions, and this is one of those things that could go 2 hours, and we just don't have time. But
we got time.
Favorite arena. Brian Flowers, Jim Croter both asked favorite arena. Joe, let's start with you. If you got one place to call a game in, where are you going? That's not Capital One Arena.
Saturday night, Bell Center. Montreal is pretty special. The location that we call the game from is kind of cool. It's a suspended gondola that's really close to the rink. But the reason I say that is instantly a Saturday night in Montreal. The ambiance is incredible. That building is so huge. The sound system is amazing. I'd have to go Montreal on a Saturday night.
And I love them too. I love Montreal. I love Toronto. But it takes me back to my playing days where I got shivers and goosebumps listening to the national anthem in United Center in Chicago. I was at the old Chicago Stadium. Obviously, the new one to me is absolutely raucous, and to listen to that national anthem, it gets you set up for the game. So I'm going to United Center on a Sunday night, packed, whether it be against us or their famous rivalries, the Wings or whoever. That to me is special.
Not going to say anything bad about either one of those. Both of those are fantastic. Carol Kinney, Laura Bannister as well. During the broadcast, who comes up with a trivia question and what factors are involved in determining what kind of question it will be, level of difficulty, time frame, et cetera, et cetera?
It's neither of us. We get it sent to us by our producer, Ryan Billy, who sets up a trivia question that hopefully has a bearing on some situation within the game or with our team that we're playing. So he tries to set it up, but he does not tell us the answers, and we have to come up with them. And sometimes I get a little birdie in my ear. If Joe's on a roll and has beat me like 3 in a row, I'm going to say that's not going to happen. A little birdie will tell me the answer.
Carol and Laura, it's a great question. And here, for example, the game that was postponed against Philadelphia from Tuesday night, the Caps were supposed to wear their reverse retro for the first time, the red jersey with the screaming eagle. So Ryan Billy's question was, when the Caps first broke out the screaming eagle in October of 1996, who scored the first goal for the Caps in that jersey? And I remember, first of all, Locker, I believe that was the year that Koken was with you in the booth. I was still, I think at that time, split package.
I think you're right.
With Ron. So I remembered St. Louis as the opener. I remembered Grant Fuhr was the goalie, but I could not remember who scored first. My guess was going to be Pat Peake or Ken Klee. And I don't know if that's the right answer or not, but that's the kind of question. Because we were going to be in those reverse retros, Ryan thought, okay, who scored the first goal in the actual black, bronze, and blue?
Hopefully that answer will come out for those who are tuned in right now. We're not just.
I don't know the real answer. I don't. I'm guessing.
We shall see. Let's see here. What else do we want to? Oh, this is a good one. Kimberly Blanchard asks, if you were not the phenomenal play-by-play and color commentator duo for the Capitals, what would each of you be doing instead? Locker, you might be a brewmaster or something.
Well, Johnny, that's right up my alley. I'd be a brewmaster for sure. I love my IPAs and I love all that stuff. Yeah, that's a good question. You know what I would be if I could not do the job that I currently have? I've always wanted to be a college coach. And I actually, at one point, it's funny, I applied at my alma mater during one of the lockouts, and I really wanted to be a coach. And I was considering going back to Clark's, and they had called me, and I wanted to interview with them for the opportunity. But I had roots here, and there was a big difference between living here in Annapolis and living, unfortunately or fortunately, in upstate New York in a very small town of Potsdam. And to me, our family decided that, you know what, at the end of the day, that we were rooted here. We'd been here since 82. We had never left other than a year when I went to Toronto and a little bit to LA and partially to Germany, but we always had our home here. And to me, this is our home. I was never going to leave. So if I was going to leave, it would be for a collegiate gig, some coaching gig that I have great interest in doing.
Joe, how about you?
I have a degree in biology, John. I wanted to be a surgeon. I really did. I loved athletics and sports when I was a kid.
You would never operate on me, my man.
When I was 14, 15, I was determined that it was going to be, going to med school and being an orthopedic surgeon. I was going to be involved in sports. I would have fixed your elbow or your shoulder, or your knee or something like that. That was my genuine interest. Probably more likely I would have been a drummer in a rock and roll band.
Well, both would have been interesting to see.
Or possibly a celebrity chef. Let's go with that.
Celebrity chef. Okay.
Wow.
That's a good one too. All righty. Joe, for you, this is from Peter, and then maybe we can try and finish up with a fun story once we do this one. Joe, one element of doing play-by-play that is unique to hockey and not to other sports. I like that one.
Unique to hockey, but not to other sports. I'm going to guess that perhaps the multiple line shifting, the changing of formations. I know there are changes in personnel in football and in lacrosse, and I guess to a much, much lesser degree in baseball. Baseball's static, but I'm guessing with regard to play-by-play, the most important thing, or the thing that I like to try and take pride in, is player recognition. Knowing that as soon as the puck gets to so-and-so, you have that name. With regard to Philadelphia, I've always said a good play-by-play guy should be able to do the game if the guys were playing in shirts and skins. I mean, like, there's no jersey numbers. People were commenting about how difficult the Ranger third jersey was the other night when we were at Madison Square Garden. And it's hard to call that. And especially Locker and I were doing that game from the studio, but I know the mannerisms. I know the body language of the Rangers players. Locker's already told you I memorized lefts and rights, so I'm not going to ever confuse a right-handed player with a left-handed player. You take pride in that. And with hockey, with respect to hockey, those players are changing every 40 to 45 seconds if the coaches get their wish. I think that's different than most. You don't often see full line changes in basketball. Sure, you see subs, but not by the entirety of it, and not every 40 seconds. So maybe that's the difference. With regard to Philadelphia, for example, John, and you guys would recognize this, Provorov, Sanheim when he's healthy, and Haig, they're all single digits. They're all left-handed players. They're all about the same height. So a lot of the times they're difficult to differentiate between those three. The giveaway for me is Provorov uses white tape. So I'll go that far. I'll go to that length to try and find different ways to pick up different tells as to who's who.
That puts you on a different level than me, because I could not have told you that he had white tape. I'm not
me either.
On that. So kudos to you, sir. Why don't we leave it with this, Locker, just because we talk about the fun and the sense of humor. And this one I got to do, and this was just last year. Joe is always up for a good time and a good gag, even if it was kind of sort of maybe a little at his expense, the time that we put him in a shark suit in Edmonton and paraded him around for a while.
Well, one of the best things that's ever happened, I think, John, and I know I was just a small part of that. It was mostly you that put that idea together. And I, of course, knew that we had a guy that could pull it off.
Yeah, the guy who fits the suit.
None other than Joe B. And to me, he's such a good sport, because most of the time we come up with these things, we have ideas that really suit Joe B. I don't know what it is. It just seems to suit him as a character in whatever we're doing.
As opposed to the elf on the shelf.
Yes, right. But no, but that to me, like, is a great, for example, a great actor looking for a starring role, and we make sure the roles are starring for Joe. And that happened to be Elf on a Shelf, which was a great role, perfectly. And then, you see, if we were going to interview people for that role, Joe, we knew that you would be the only one that would get it, and we didn't want to waste all that time doing that.
Sabby's really not elf-like at all.
Right. And you're a character actor, if I can say that the best way.
Yeah.
And yeah, you fit the suit. You came down in the elevator in it, which is real. It showed moxie right off the bat. You sat in the lobby in it with players coming by. You added a necktie. And the thing that we learned for fans out there, that Joe B is such a great sport. He wouldn't go as far as I wanted, because I wanted to be run over in the road in Edmonton. But it was the director that said, John Walton was a director. I was more of a producer. And he said, no, that cannot happen. And he laid down the law. I thought it would have been a great finish. The fans would have probably been upset that the
Locker, I know you were just
baby shark.
You were just thinking about the Nats. You wanted to give the Nats a good laugh. Let's have Joe get hit in traffic. That would have been a great laugh.
But that is our road trip. And I often hear things. We always talk about what can we do to have fun on the road, how we can bring it in, and how Joe is our character actor. And that's what it comes down to, fans. It's not that we want to put Joe in these situations. It's the fact that he is the best character actor of all of us. So that's it.
I
You guys are
had
gonna love
a
this.
morning.
Go ahead, Johnny. Please
I
complete
said
it.
I had a morning. I went to West Edmonton Mall with Adam Miller on your crew.
Yes.
We went to the Halloween section, and from the second that I picked up that suit, I don't think I stopped laughing all the way visualizing what this was going to look like. And Joe putting on the tie. That was not us. That was not me. That was not Craig. Joe put on the tie. Him and just
Gentlemen, to finish off in style, I realize we have close to 90 people on this webinar. This is going to likely make Locker and John, if they were drinking something, this is an absolute spit take. So I'm hoping you love this. I really like The Simpsons a lot. My sister got me this as a gift. Locker, you're going to howl. Are you ready?
Yes.
See this. This is me on The Simpsons couch.
That is fantastic. And for fans out there that, Joe B loves The Simpsons, but I will say this, fans, he may be one of the funniest guys with his voices, Joe. You got to give the fans some voices from The Simpsons because you nail it. It's like Hitchcock said, we're a comedian act. And this will be part of your act. If we ever go on stage, you and me, you're doing voices. So go ahead, give us a little bit.
This guy on The Simpsons couch, it's called Simpsonify. The voices of Hank Azaria are so funny to me, and he does so many of them on The Simpsons, and I can do them in small little doses. For example, Mr. Clown, I'm sorry, this is an unmanned oil rig. Ooh, I'm taking a bath on this one. Marge talking to Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns, I'll sew the pants off of you. You don't have to do that to get my pants off. Just so many of the Azaria ones. Smithers, get it off of me. Who is that go-getter in Sector 7G? That's Homer Simpson, sir. You fired him 9 times. I like the cut of his jib. So many, but this I thought.
That's amazing.
Jojo, that is amazing. But this is something that the fans don't know.
White socks, fashion faux pas, white socks.
But Jojo, and for the fans out there, I call him Jojo and other names that I can't say, but mostly Jojo. And when he is on air, he'll often do that with the talk back on. So the truck hears him and I hear him. And I die of laughter. He can do so many. He's so talented.
Hi, I'm Flaming Mo.
Multi-talented. And John, you've traveled with him. It's insane the stuff that he can do.
He's pretty good at Austin Powers too, but we might have to save that.
How about you?
How about the other day when I was sacked and I wasn't doing the game because of the COVID. How about no?
No.
That's just the relationship we have. Well,
all this lying and cheating and phony doctors. Phony doctors, hello.
Gentlemen, we should probably leave it there. I think that's probably enough for once, but we should definitely do this again sometime. And even though we don't have games, Locke, maybe you're onto something. We didn't need a game to put on a show here.
Exactly, John. Come on. Us 3 together. It's magical. It's magical on the road, which I could maybe talk about next time, Johnny.
Maybe we should line up a volume.
Be careful.
Yes. I'm in. I'm in next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and watch these guys come next week when we finally get back at it here. But until then, thanks for tuning in.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.